The true story. True story.
7 strangers picked to live in a loft
And have their lives taped.
To find out what happens.
What?
When people stop being polite. Could you get the phone?
And start getting real.
The real world.
It's unbelievable. And I think back at that show and you look at these unscripted shows on now with the Kardashians, and there's so much money involved with the branding of the people on these shows. And that show was so, well, you said it yourself, it was low budget, it was innocent, and it started the whole thing.
Yeah, I know that the cast was not so happy when their paychecks, so they got barely anything. They did end up getting a little bit more later on, I think, because MTV, that no one knew the success would blow up like it did. We were doing something, as the boss there, Doug Herzog at MTV said, we really want something rock and roll. We want something to really scare the audience, be something different. And, and so we did something very different, and we didn't realize just how big it was going to get. And I think, these young people that were on the show were in their, Julie was 19, they were 19, 20, 22. And next thing we know, they're huge stars. We didn't know they were going to become celebrities.
But I don't think they did either. That's what I'm saying. It's like now there's so much merchandising that's involved in that they sort of know going in these Real Housewives and, they get paid a little bit of being on that show, but they make so much else. They sell books, they do appearances, and, but who knew then? It's
incredible. I was just telling somebody the story. We after the first season, we went to promote the show, so I took the cast to the MTV Movie Awards. Actually, Howard Stern was there. He was swung across the stage as Fart Man.
Yes.
And this was 1991, the MTV Movie Awards. Nirvana.
It was at UCLA, I think.
UCLA at Poly Pavilion. So we walked in there, and I walked in with the cast, and everyone went crazy on the red carpet.
Yeah.
And Cindy Crawford was standing there because she had a show called House of Style back then. And she was standing there staring at, who the hell are these kids?
Right. Why are these people going nuts?
Why I'm the star? And, and we went in and we were right down in front, the Nirvana performed and the Chili Peppers, and Howard was there. It was, and Guns N' Roses, I think. Anyway, but from that moment on, I knew this was just going to catch fire. Now today it's a multi-billion-dollar business, and, companies around the globe, from Bachelor to, Survivor, and all over the globe, this genre of reality and nonfiction TV is enormous.
Yeah. So so after Real World, I'm trying to go through your IMDb thing, which is amazing. So did Austin Stories happen right after that?
Yeah. So I did the first 4 seasons of Real World. I produced and directed the first 4. It was New York, LA, then San Francisco with Puck and Pedro and all that.
Right.
And that was an incredible season. That just really reached a peak where we had Bill Clinton calling us, and it was incredible. And then I did London, and then I got lots of offers to do features and scripted stuff. So I was that was my dream, to come to LA to begin with.
Yeah.
So I left and tried to do that for a while. And then I did Austin Stories, which was a scripted series for MTV. It was kind of I don't know if you know Slackers, the Richard Linklater film Slackers.
Yes.
So it was kind of like Slackers or a Seinfeld for, Gen X. So It was a bunch of people doing nothing in Austin, scraping together money, and it was fun. It was really funny, and we had a ball. We shot all over Austin, and
and this was just as Austin was sort of getting hip, right?
Yes,
or maybe it was a little hip, but I actually worked there in '81 when the 6th Street was got its first music club. It was just you could see this place is going to be cool. This is going to be a cool.
What were you doing?
That's Little Warehouse in Texas. The movie. That was my first big. Yeah, it got me out of waiting tables.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What did you play in that?
I played. Dom DeLuise played this televangelist, and he had a camera crew that followed him all around. And I was the sound man. But I don't think I had a line, or maybe I said something. But it was 12 weeks worth of work. and we got to go to Austin, and I made a lot of friends, and I worked with Burt Reynolds, and I met Dom DeLuise, and he and I became very, very good friends, and ended up selling a movie with him, and so it was a great year. But you could see Austin was going to be cool.
Yeah, no, Austin was hip. I was there in '97, and it was really hip and great film crews, because like Robert Rodriguez and Linkletter and those guys were all down there making low budget indie features.
Right.
There were great local crews there. And yeah, we had fun. We shot all over town and did that was that. And I think that got the attention, maybe got your attention when you guys were doing.
Yeah, we'll talk about Sun on the Beach in the final segment, because George was there for it all. And it was fun to hear his perspective of it all. But yeah, that's what Lisa Berger, led you to us. And we said, great. And it all worked out, and it all worked out. So after Sun on the Beach, and you did other stuff too, other single camera stuff, directing stuff, but how did you get into the Extreme Home Edition? Because that show was a behemoth. I mean, that was a I did a show that I do want to mention called Murder in Small Town X. Oh yes, let's talk about that, because there are a lot of
that one is one of my favorites. So after
let me interrupt for 1 second, George. Let me just tell you that again, George thinks out of the box. Like, he's not afraid to take a chance. And this show he's about to tell you about was very much taking a chance.
Way out of the box.
Way out of the box.
Way out of the box.
Shot in the most northern town in Maine, right?
Yeah, way up in Eastport, Maine, way almost on the Canadian border. No, I love doing shows that are, really challenging and groundbreaking. And so after I'd done a couple of things, I wanted to scare myself again, kind of like Real World. And so what we did was a hybrid murder mystery show where it was sort of like a big game of Clue. Imagine Westworld before Westworld came out. So what we did is we took 30 actors and we took them to this little town in Maine, and we created this whole murder mystery. Then we took 10 real people and we sequestered in a house and said, okay, there's a murderer on the loose in this town, and you have to solve the crime. Who is the murderer?
Right.
And every time we let them out of the house, we'd turn this town on, kind of like Westworld. Everybody was an actor in this little town, this little fishing village. So the real people would go out, and the whole town of 600 people were working for us, the extras and the background people, and we'd written it. It was so cool and so fun, and we were up there for like 5 months filming this thing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was great, and
a bunch of groundlings, right? Kathy Shambly.
Yeah, Kathy Shambly, and who else? Shashir, this guy that was an amazing improver, and I'm blanking on a couple of the other names, but all improv actors who were really, really good. And so that
really, and I'll interrupt again, sorry, but again, speaking of, you're way ahead of the curve, because this last year, Freevee does this show Jury Duty, which was great. It was wonderful. But it's the same thing where you're taking a bunch of improviser, and in their case, there's one guy who doesn't realize
right.
It's a hidden camera show, and they pulled it off. Although I heard they shot it twice. Like,
oh yeah. Well, this we had we were, I think, way ahead of ourselves, because no one really knew. I'll never forget. We edited this together, and it looked like a movie. It looked like Twin Peaks. It was unbelievably beautiful looking. The story was great. And I'll never forget the Fox executives looking at it, a whole room in this, like 25 people watching the first cut.
Yeah.
And once it stopped, I remember the network going, I've never seen anything like it. And I knew we were dead then. I was like, oh, shoot, because they just didn't know how to market it, didn't know what to do with it. They were like, well, who's real and who isn't? We can't tell who the real people are and who the fake people, who the actors are. And we were like, we don't care. Is it a good story? And they just didn't think it would fly. They wanted, you to know who was real and who was. And anyway, it didn't really go, but it was an amazing experience. And it was the guy who won the show, who solved the crime, was a firefighter from New York, Angel Warbay. And unfortunately, he ended up dying in 9/11 in the towers. The last show aired the Tuesday before 9/11. he won $250,000 and a Jeep, and he gave.
Oh, that's a crazy story.
He was a great guy from the Bronx, a Puerto Rican guy, really sweet. Gave it all to his mom and dad so they could retire. And then a week later, he got the call with his ladder company. He was in the Marriott when the buildings collapsed, and yeah, it was just devastating. And yeah, we ended up, yeah, we were all really torn. It was terrible. But anyway, great guy. And from there, I went on. I did Nashville Star, where we discovered Miranda Lambert in our first season.
George, your career is unbelievable. I mean,
I know
most people
like,
do. Like, I knew a guy, I worked way early in my career, very famous variety director, producer, Steve Binder.
Oh yeah.
Did like the Elvis comeback special. But
yeah.
that's what he did. That's his whole career was that.
Yeah.
On a lot of different stuff. But
yeah, I think it's been tough because people can't really pigeonhole me. They don't really know, but I just love the challenge. Like Nashville Star was a live show. I mean, literally a live show from the A-Cup Theater in Nashville. We do that every Saturday night, and Buddy Jewell and Miranda, and we just had Casey Musgraves. Those guys came out of there, and an unbelievable experience. So much fun, and that's what I love doing. That's this business we're in. We get to do things that, what a life. That's what I keep saying. What a life.
I couldn't agree more. And of course, and then you're banging your head against the wall and rejections and all that. But every once in a while, something seeps through. And you have fun. I still have fun. I still have so much fun working. So.
Yeah, me too. And I just feel so grateful, and so many good people along the way that have helped me. And John and Mary Ellis back in Real World days, and you, and so many people along the way that gave me a break. Like Howard Owens and Doug Herzog and Ben Silverman. All these people I can think of that you just think, wow, how lucky are we to do what we do.
But also they were good executives because they recognize talent. It's like, okay, go do it. And if it, Herzog especially is like, yeah, take a shot. It's like, let's take a shot. It's worth it.
That's right. Yeah. And he's the kind of guy that would let you do it and let you fall on your face and not feel bad. It's like, hey, you tried, you did your best.
And he's not going to be mad at you, and you can come back in and see him.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got to take another break. We're going to go into segment 3, and then I want to talk about, we'll play it on the other side. We can talk about it on the other side. I'm talking to George Verschoor, an old friend, very successful TV producer, especially in the unscripted world, and he's just got a crazy resume. And so we're going to talk to more of him when I come back. You're listening to It's Radio with TV's Tim Stack.